Hello, my friends. Good morning. It is early in the morning in Germany. The first light is coming through and there's some fog outside. It's that time of the year. And since I have a slightly disturbed biorhythm after word flight, I'm getting up quite early and I'm taking my chance to create a few videos. This is the next one in my series of videos about online flying. And so far we have looked at the two main networks, IVAO and VATSIM. And in the second part we looked at how to install the XIVAP client software in XP11. And today we're looking at the other network and the software and how to install, which isn't that difficult, but yeah, I just show you how to do it and how it worked for me. And here we go. By the way, I've been already asked, what about Pilot Edge? Pilot Edge is a payware network, and it's, yeah, I don't want to say limited, but it covers only a certain part of the world, which is at the moment a part of the United States. It costs money. It is a great network. When I watch those videos from Cutstrator and others, it is really great. It's quite professional ATC. American style ATC, I have to say, and it's fantastic for that purpose. But for me to actually subscribe to a not that cheap service and then be restricted to flying in that area doesn't really make that much sense. Should Pilot Edge ever somehow extend its reach and cover at least parts of Europe, it might be another story. I might think about it, but at the moment, Pilot Edge is great as it is not really for me. Okay, so but back to VATSIM. So VATSIM is the other big network, and actually the steps that you need to do in order to get it running is not that much different from what we have seen in my last video about the IVAO and XIVAP client. So basically, let's start. Xplane needs a plugin. It's the same as with the IVAO, and the plugin you do get by going here on the main VATSIM website, www.vatsim.net. Have your you need your credentials, your VATSIM ID and the VATSIM password already. So make sure that you have that, and then you go to software, and let's go to the software tab. And leave out the FSX and prepared stuff and go to here, click on this link, and you'll come to the xsb.squawkbox.net download page here. You download the XSquawkBox 1.3.3, which is the XPlane 11 compatible plugin. There are older versions, but you need this one here for XPlane 11. And then we're going to unpack that. Talking about downloads, let's cover them in one go. The next thing you should do, if you haven't done so already, you should get yourself some Object 8 compatible CSL packages. Okay, I've shown this with the IVAO client because it is actually the exact same package that you need for both plugins. Bluebell is covering Airbuses, Boeings, and some general aviation. So get this file. It's about this. Yeah, it's actually a number of files, and I've shown this yesterday. So Airbus files, 3, 4 Boeing parts, jets in general, military props, and you do not need this here because we're not on IVAO this time. So get all these here, and I think also you may need the update RA and install them. I'm going to show you in a moment how to do that. All right. So that's that. So the Bluebell package, the link is in the description. And there is one thing with XSquawkBox which I always found, I'm not sure if they have fixed it, but I still use it. The problem was that when a controller or someone contacts me, I do not get an audible notification. I can't hear anything. So I might actually miss that I have been contacted. because if you know how things are, if you move the window somewhere and you're not really watching, or you're looking somewhere else, you might actually miss that you have been contacted. And in the other clients, you get some diddle-dit or something, so you know, especially that a radar controllers or someone has contacted you, requesting you to come on the frequency, for example. In XSquawkBox, there is no sound, but this little plugin, also from the org forum, actually gives you an audible sound, because they kind of they communicate with the XSquawkBox, and when someone contacts you, they kind of play a sound here. So it's a very small plugin, very handy, and I always use it when I do SquawkBox and VATSIM. Yeah, so that's that, and the Bluebell package and the XSquawkBox plugin. And here we come to the installation, which is also pretty straightforward. Let me see, where have I where did I put the oh, I done it away. Okay, so let me find it again. Obviously I downloaded it, but I must have closed the window again. Here we go. So the XSB -1.3.3.zip, I have unpacked it in my downloads, and in there you see this XSquawkBox folder. And if you haven't done so already, be careful when you override things, because you might actually lose your configuration. Okay, so if you do this again, just make sure that you have made a copy of your XSquawkBox, so that you don't lose anything that is configuration. I mean, it's not that difficult to recover, but yeah, it's just be careful. So SquawkBox, if you go in there, we see a 32-bit folder. Quite frankly, you do not need this in XP11. This is unnecessary plugins, DLLs, but if you're not sure, just copy everything. It's okay. It's no problem having 32-bit DLLs in your plugins, but I would not, I personally don't take it. Okay, I always remove the old 32-bit implementations. There's some docs here, so you can actually call up a manual, and I've got that manual here as well. It's this here, it's a PDF, and you can see there's some introduction about how to use this. If you're new to how do you get started with this here, basic etiquettes and stuff, installation. So here we come to the installation, and exactly this has to go into the xplane resources plugins folder. The whole XSquawkBox folder, as we've just seen it in the zip file, needs to go there. Okay. And basically, if you have copied the XSquawkBox folder from this zip into the plugins folder, and I'm showing you this here, all right, here. Once you've done this, you're actually done. Now, there is something here that is not quite the same, and I'm going to make it the same for you, because I'm going to show you something, some trick that I use to avoid having the CSLs, the AI aircraft object definitions, which are almost 3 gigabytes, twice. Because I have both clients and I'm running on both clients, but I'm first going to show you what you do when you do not run both plugins. So we're basically now in the plugins, resources plugins folder of xplane, resources, plugins, XSquawkBox, and you have just copied everything. And basically you're done, because XSquawkBox comes with a, well, very limited, very simple set of AI objects. They are ugly, but they do perform relatively well, and they're there. So as soon as you have them installed, you have a basic Airbus A320, an A333, sort of the most basic Boeings and Airbuses that you will find are there. So you will see traffic, and anything that it cannot resolve, because it's not in this list here, it will resolve as something else. Now, this is not very nice, this library here. Yeah, okay. Also the props. There's only a Cessna and a Saab 340, but there are far more out there, and you would not get a proper representation and nice representation of your CSLs. So X-Ivap comes with no CSLs. These guys come with CSLs, so in principle you could start right away, but it just doesn't look nice, and we want it to be a bit nicer. So what you do is you go to the Bluebell download site, you get yourself all these zips, and then what you do is you unpack them. And the way you do that is, and I'm going to show you how this looks in the X-Ivap folder, because that's where I have unpacked them before. And since I'm not going to copy 3 GB just for the fun, I'm going to show you here. And but you have to do the same thing. Instead of in the X-Ivap resources, you need to do it in the XSquawkBox Resources CSL folder. Okay, so basically it's this CSL folder, and you unpack the content of those zips as they are. That means in the zip you will, for example in the Airbus zip, you will find a bb_Airbus folder. Each of them have it, and each of the zips contain a number of these folders. Okay, and when you have them unpacked completely, all 4 or 3 of them for the Airbus and all 4 of the Boeings, you will end up with this folder structure. And that's all you need to do, really. There's nothing else. You just unpack them, and you make sure that they are located for VATSIM, that they are located in XSquawkBox Resources CSLs. All right. And these here, you could actually delete. Once you have enough models to replace those ugly ones here, you can delete them. You do not need them. Okay. And that's it. So just for showing you how this works, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpack a set of Russian, which I haven't got in here yet. A Russian, so there is a RU scenery CSL zip that comes from the same source as the Bluebell. Just to show you this again. So these are the Bluebells. If you go up one step, and I've shown this in the IVAP part, you have a choice of very many of these CSLs. Just make sure that they're object 8. That's important. Same thing as with the IVAP client. And some page further down, you actually get also the Bluebell. They come from here. There's a 732 and Quest Kodiak, and you see. And you basically just unpack the folder, like this here's the RU scenery. You just unpack the folder into your CSL folder, Resources CSL. So I'm going to do that now. You see, I'm taking it from the zip. I put it here, and that's it. We've got now Russian aircraft. Next time I start. So that's basically all you need to do. There's no other magic, and that should be enough to get online with VATSIM. Now, if you're like me and you're running both clients, it's no point really unpacking 3 GB and I don't know how many thousand files and objects twice, because it just takes away from your hard drive. I do have enough space. Space is not the problem here, but I hate putting things double on my hard drive, and by doing so basically making it slower. And if you have a good fast hard drive, an SSD or something, it's probably no issue. And I could do it and it wouldn't really harm my system. But if you're borderline with your equipment, especially if you run your hard drive and it's getting a little bit low on space, you may not want to add stuff twice unnecessarily. Now there is a trick. There is a trick if you're doing it like me, and you do not need to do this if you're only using XSquawkBox or only using X-Ivap. This is only necessary, or not necessary, but it's a nice to have if you run both and you switch between both. By the way, you cannot run both plugins at the same time. You must turn one of them off. So if you're flying on IVAO, and then you have to turn off the XSquawkBox by either moving it out or by using the X-Organizer, for example. X-Organizer, great tool. Let me show you that. All right, here, there's the plugin scripts folder. Up here is the X-Ivap. I have it turned off at the moment because we're looking at VATSIM. And here is the XSquawkBox and my XSMB message sound. I turn that on when I want to fly VATSIM. The other way around, I would turn these off and I would turn the, where is it? Up here somewhere, X-Ivap 64. I would turn that on when I want to fly on IVAO or IVAO. All right, so you have to really turn the other one off if you have both installed. If you're like me and you're registered with both networks and you fly either the one or the other. Okay, by the way, X-Organizer, great tool. Helps me a lot with the plugins. It helps me especially with the sceneries, organizing and also understanding the sceneries. It's great stuff. I've made a video about it. I might actually do another one eventually, just showing the way I use it right now. Anyway, away with this. So if we want to use the IVAP resources, and I have a lot of stuff unpacked. And by the way, the CSLs here that we have unpacked, they are actually made for XSquawkBox, even the ones that I use for IVAO. They are the same, basically. And therefore, both clients can use the same. So in order to avoid having them unpacked twice, what I do is I delete this CSL folder. All right. Now, like that, it wouldn't work. Okay, so we need to do something in order to make this work. And in Windows, I'll show you this here. This is a command window. Here you need to go a little bit into the lower levels of Windows. There's a command window, and if you press Help, you will get a list of built-in commands. And the command that I'm looking for is the MKLINK. Erstellt, it's creating a so-called symbolic link or a hard link to something. What is that? Basically, it looks like a folder, but it's not a folder in where you have it. It's actually a link to another folder somewhere else. Okay. So if you want to know how to use the mlink command, you say mklink question mark, for example. Then it shows you the help, and I think you can also say /help or something. I always use the question mark because if it doesn't understand what I'm typing in, it shows you the help, and this is what is important for us. mklink, we need the /d. Verknüpfung, that's that's probably link in English, is basically the link, and Ziel is the goal or the destination. I'm not sure what it is called in the English version, but first you define the name of the link and then you define where that links to. Okay. So in order for us to do this, I would have to enter the following command, mklink /d CSL, because that's the name of the folder we want to have in the XSquawkBox Resources folder, and then a complete path to the XSL folder of the X-Ivap Resources. So that's also under plugins, but under X-Ivap Resources CSL. Okay, so that's how this works. And to do this, make sure that you are where you want your link. So that's in XP11 folder, Resources, Plugins, XSquawkBox Resources. And I've made sure that I'm on drive D here. XP11 resources plugins XSquawkBox resources. Okay, and then you enter this command, and what you have to do is this part here has to be correct, okay, because otherwise this won't work. So it's my xplane folder, resources, plugins, X-Ivap. That's where I have my CSLs, CSL. Okay, so we put that in here, and we say enter, and we've got a syntax error. Sure, because there is a blank actually in the path. I just realized. So you need to use double quotes. Oh. So that's, we call that Vorführeffekt in German. Why is my Eingabeaufforderung? Okay, so in that case, you need to actually run your CMD. So you go here, you go CMD. I can't see that now, it's in the other screen, and you have to right click and run as administrator. Unfortunately, I can't show you that because it's popped up at the other. Run as administrator. You need to run a CMD as administrator to do that. Interesting. Now we need to go back to that path. No, that's the wrong one. XP11 resources, plugins, XSquawkBox resources. That's where we need to be. Okay, and now we try again. Okay, that was not the right one. So I copy the command again, this time with that. So forgot about the blank character. Okay, now we've got it. Symbolische Verknüpfung erstellt means the symbolic link has been created for CSL. Now if you do directory, you will see there is actually now a CSL, but it is called symlink, and it points to the CSL folder of X-Ivap. All right, and now you automatically, anything that you unpack in the in this folder, the resources the X-Ivap resources appears as if it's also under SquawkBox. It's a very handy thing to link stuff, and I use this, for example, for the X-Europe, what's it called, the extended OSM scenery, X-Europe V2 or something like that. I use that for the objects because I have spread my OSM high definition sort of OSM stuff over several folders country-wise, and they all need these objects, and these objects are located in one folder. They are big, huge, and I don't want to copy them every time. So I use this, for example, to kind of break up the large sceneries or large coverage sceneries into smaller units like countries. That's one of the things I use this for, and I use it here in order to be able to have my CSL, and it appears as if this is inside the XSquawkBox resources folder. You only need to do this if you're running both clients. You do not need to do this if you're just unpacking your XSquawkBox. Then just put everything into this existing CSL folder. Right, so that's it. Now we need to quickly check. I have the möchte die Änder unbekannt speichern? Nein. Right, so let's start the simulator. Here we go. We are now started. I have already started it before. XSquawkBox, first thing we do is set up audio. And what you need to do is you need to find input, which is your microphone. You have the option to use direct sound or wave. I usually use wave. And the output is for COM1 is my speakers. I have defined those speakers. Also for COM2, you could choose to have them on different output devices. Doesn't make sense though. This is, for example, the Rode Podcaster microphone that I'm talking to here. It has also a little amplifier in there, so I have headphones and I can use that to communicate without the noise of the simulator. By the way, that's the same as I've done in the IVAP video. And yeah, don't use this filter audio because it doesn't really produce anything that is worthwhile. You could actually set up your mic. Okay, so for example, it would. So you have to be quiet because it calculates the background noise. Then it wants you to talk in normal tone of voice. And then you can listen to this. You can't hear this now because I've turned all the... But I can hear it. Okay, so that's done. It sounds the usual not so high fidelity way of XSquawkBox. So then the next thing you need to do is you need to set the preferences. For example, you have to define a push-to-talk key. Actually, I should change this to assign to escape because then it's the same as with IVAP. Otherwise, I'm getting confused. But here you can actually define a push-to-talk button. I've got this on my yoke. And there are some other options I don't want to go through now, keys and things. If you want weather, check weather every 5 minutes. It would actually attempt to set the weather. I'm setting this to 0 because usually when I fly, I have weather coming from an external tool. Therefore, I turn this to 0, and that means there is no weather update. Yeah, that's it. So you're also getting here some messages. It has started up. Okay, and the next thing you would need to do is you need to start message sound. It's now connecting to XSquawkBox. So if I would be contacted, I would actually hear some diddle. And what you need to do as well is connect. Okay, with some, with your credentials and the server, and then you need to define what your aircraft is and so on. And now we say connect. And we are actually connected now. And I hope that we still have some airplanes here in, where am I actually? I think it's Sydney. Oh yeah, it is Sydney. Because I saw some aircraft standing in Sydney. If you want to check that, let's see. Doesn't look like there's anyone left. You can go to the VATSIM radar, and actually there was someone taking off. Okay, not sure if they're still there. So let's try and see where we are here. They only update this every couple of minutes, so it's very likely that this guy is already gone, so we won't be able to see him. Maybe we are lucky and the other guy is still here. Where are we now? Oh yeah, okay. It's good. So theoretically, when I log on now quickly, we should be able to see. Always place yourself not on runways and stuff, okay? You should always try and be somewhere where you're in nobody's way. So let's quickly connect. And then hope that we see something. Otherwise, I might have to fix my... There it is, there it is. It's shown as a Cessna, which... this is kind of the replacement aircraft. It means it couldn't find whatever the guy has defined to be. It's a velocity. Most likely, it cannot find it in the list of CSLs. So we're not very lucky with our model matching at the moment, but it works. So I can see a contact. This is the standard replacement aircraft that you get, which is this Stentner, what it's called. It means that I have actually connected successfully to VATSIM, and I can see other contacts. So for me, this is test enough. In the next video, we're going to look at doing some basic operations also with voice. That means I'm going to find a time and a place where we can do at least some basic ATC, and I'm going to test both clients on a short with a short kind of radio check and stuff like that, in order to see if my voice works out, and also if the model matching is correct. And for that, I'm going to wait that I have an airport with good coverage, a lot of airplanes, and then I'm going to check if I can see them correctly. And that's what you should do as well before you start flying, because nothing is worse than if you cannot see your aircraft, or if they all look like this. Okay, that's it. I hope that was helpful, and yeah, until the next time.